I loved it. Yeah, Poznan is great. I mean, um, it just feels like it's been a really long time since we've been in Poland at all, and I think that like we have some really passionate fans here. Like the first sort of 5 or 6 rows yesterday were all super fans. You know, they made their own T-shirts, they brought banners and all that kind of stuff. And in Europe, Poland is probably the only one of maybe actually 1 or 2 countries that actually do all that. You know, like make the banners, make their own T-shirts, and sort of bring you presents after shows. It's amazing. They're great. They're very committed. It's like, and I remember the first time that we played in Poland, which was Opener Festival 2008 or 9, I think, and
it was 9.
It was 9, yeah, and we almost didn't make the show because our tour bus broke down. And we had to get taxis like 5 hours from where we were.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we made the show with about 20 minutes to spare, so we didn't have any time to warm up. We didn't have any time to kind of prepare, and we were just like, oh shit, it's going to be really bad. Like we haven't, you know, we had no expectations at all basically. And we walked on stage and there was like 20,000 people there, and they just went crazy, and it was. And then we were just like, okay, yeah, Poland likes us. It's good. This is a good place to come.
I'm sure you can be satisfied with today's show as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the venue looks really fun. It's kind of a little tight room. I like that. And
in this place, there's a lot of special shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It feels like a sort of. It feels like a very well-used
good
venue.
vibes.
Yeah, and I like that it's kind of painted outside. It looks fun. I think tonight will be great. I mean, I think we've all been looking forward to the shows in Poland on this tour for a really long time, and yeah, I'm glad to kind of finally be doing them. This was a really different album for us to make. It took us ages, to be honest. I mean, when we finished touring Ritual, we've been touring or recording albums solidly for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. You know, made an album, went on tour for a year and a half, made an album, went on tour for a year and a half, and we were just absolutely exhausted by the end of it. So at Christmas, Christmas time last year, we just said let's take some time off. So it took like 4 months just to hang out. And, you know, we all live in London, so still saw each other regularly, but just kind of hang out and not worrying about white lie stuff a bit. It was really nice, kind of relaxing time. And then around the summertime, Charles had got some lyrics together, and him and Harry started working on a piano just with chords, work on some drum stuff for a bit, and that took probably about 2 or 3 months. Then just kind of getting the start of songs together and sending them to me, and then I'd work on them. And then the 3 of us went to our producer's house in North London for about another 2 months, where we just went every day, like a kind of office job. We drive up there, I'd pick up Harry in the car, drive and get Charles. We'd all drive up to his house and sit there for kind of 6 hours and just start fleshing the songs out a little bit. And then finally this year in January, we were pleased with the songs to a stage where we thought we can record these now properly. And went to Belgium and made the final thing in about a month. And yeah, the whole process from like start of writing to the end of mixing took about 9 months, I think. So
yeah,
sort of like it was
for
great.
Sure.
It was nice. It was nice for us to have that amount of time. There was no pressure on us because we worked really hard, you know, for the previous few years. And yeah, it was cool just to sort of relax and
yeah, because it's important to then have a time to make a good record.
I think so.
Without pressure.
It was really important for us to come out with an album that we were all pleased with, because at this stage in our careers, I think it's much more now about fulfilling what we want to achieve with our band than kind of, because we've got a platform now. You know, we have these shows in Europe have been great, because it's been really pleasing to see that we can go to Germany, and we can come to Poland, and we can go to Italy and everywhere, and you know, we've still got a couple of thousand people buying tickets for shows, and we haven't been there for a couple of years, and we haven't, you know, we've got this new album out, and it's always a concern is whether people are going to turn up, and it seems like we've still got fans out here, and that's the main thing for us. So now we can kind of do what we want a bit more. Well, there were some things in common with the first record and this one. The first album was produced by Ed Buller, who also produced this third album. And we made it in the same studio in Brussels, in RCP Studios in Belgium. So that was sort of similar. The experience was very different in that the first time we didn't really know what we were doing at all, and we went into the studio with 5 songs. We went in there with again, Death, EST, Fairground, A Place to Hide, and From the Stars. So those were the 5 songs we had written, and then we had to write 5 songs when we were in Brussels. And we hadn't got a clue what we were doing. We were just sort of desperately trying to make an album and writing songs at the same time. And it was a very stressful experience, like very, very stressful. This time, the main difference is just having a bit of self-confidence and sort of knowing what we were doing. So we went to the studio, there was no panic. It wasn't like, oh my god, what are we doing first? How do you make this song sound good? Like we now know what we need to do, so we can go there and we can just enjoy the process. Like that's the main difference, I think. The first album, we came out with a record we're really proud of actually. I think To Lose My Life is a great record. It was just a nasty experience, a lot of making that album, just because we were so young. We were like 19 years old, and we had record labels turning up in the studio every kind of couple of days and making sure we were working hard and all this stuff. And then this time we just went out there on our own for a month, and everyone knew that we would be fine to make the record.
You did what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was just
without pressure.
No pressure, just the 3 of us and a couple of producers just kind of having a good time, just doing exactly what we knew we needed to do. And that's the way to make an album, and I think that's
the best way, I think.
Yeah, that's what we want to do for the next one. We'll just take our time with the writing and then go and record it when we're all pleased, pleased with what the songs are. Well, a lot of the kind of editing took place in London at our producer's house, but I mean, one song that we fiddled with infinitely, and which actually we've now fiddled with again when we play it live. We've actually sped it up a little bit for the live shows because it felt a bit slow. Is Getting Even, which is obviously the first song we put out there. That song took forever to get right. We changed the tempo about 10 times in the studio and re-recorded all the parts to make, to see what sounded best. And in the end, on the record, it's the correct speed. But when you play it live in this setting, all the other songs, sometimes if you're playing it live, when you play songs a bit faster, it just felt a bit slow in the way we were doing it. So we sped it up a little bit now. But that song took a really long time, and it was funny because it was one of the first demos to kind of come out of the sessions was that track. Then it was one of the last ones for us to actually be really happy with and sign off on. So
that's awesome. That turned out very well.
Huh?
That's turned out very well.
Yeah, I think so. I think it turned out well. I mean, I think one of my biggest regrets with the whole album campaign was that we didn't, because we put that song online, and for a couple of days the internet went crazy for it. There were loads of people listening to it on like our SoundCloud and stuff.
It's a great song.
Yeah, and I just wish we'd gone, instead of waiting, I think we should have just released the album the next day. People would love the song and then just go, alright, fine, have a record. It would have been great. But
that would be great way to do that.
I think that's the way people will start releasing music in the